and welcome to How Do You Drew?
This is a Drew Barrymore podcast brought to you by thedrewseum.com.
I'm Ashley,
And I'm Anne.
and right off the bat, I'm going to apologize for the state of my voice. I sound like crap, but I'm here, and it was just important to us to keep on schedule. So hopefully, the information will still come through. It just sounds a little grimy. Sorry about that.
Ashley's powering through.
I'm such a
insisting on
trooper.
powering through. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So it's been a long time since we recorded.
Yeah, because we split our last episode that we recorded 2 weeks ago into 2 episodes. So it's been 2 weeks.
So we've got some stuff to catch up on. I don't have any oopsie daisies. I just have a couple quick follow-ups from the last time we recorded. The first one is like really pointless, but I finally remembered on my own with that quote from that 1999 MTV movie special where she's talking about Jade. I don't know if you remember. I was saying that she gets like kind of like about it. Anyway, she says, there are some things in life that are weird and awkward, and that's one of them. That's like how she drops it. She's like,
nice. I like how you just pulled it.
Yeah, I was something that's like always been stuck in my head because I used to watch that special all the time.
Yeah, nice.
And also we mentioned in the last episode that we didn't have any information on Drew's tattoos on our website anymore. And I started feeling like we were doing a bad job if we didn't put them up. So we have a page on thedrewseum.com that's called Drew Details. And most of them are really quick little short tidbits. But I thought I'll just add a massive paragraph at the very end that goes through all her tattoos.
Nice.
So, and I refreshed some other stuff on that page. So go check that out if you want lots of fun little Drew tidbits of trivia.
Nice. Thank you, Ashley.
Oh, sure.
And it looks like we've got a couple of You've Got Mails.
You've got mail.
We have from Instagram from @DrewBarrymoreDaisy. Oh, the episodes are fantastic. You guys fill in the gaps of knowledge, and I appreciate all the effort gone into making this. Love it. On the edge, waiting for the next one. So thank you, Drew Barrymore Daisy.
We definitely kind of go back and forth on Instagram a lot. She's got a very active Drew fan Instagram, and also her YouTube is sensational. And a lot of the footage that I can't find anywhere else, she has there.
Great. That's so cool.
And then we also have a little comment from our friend Tess. Hi, Tess. So we met Tess also on the Grapevine, the same message board where Anne and I met. And Tess is from Australia, but we've gotten to hang out with her several times. 3, 4, something like that. She's
definitely
great.
And we're definitely IRL friends now.
Yeah,
like, for sure.
For sure. She's the best. So Tess said, first 10 minutes of episode 1 is amazing so far. Makes me reminisce about how I got into Drew. It was actually through her hair. I would take clippings to the hairdresser. It's like a fun memory. Also, you guys are so cute and hilarious. Oh, thanks, Tess.
Thanks, Tess. I have to say about the clippings to the hairdresser. So this is something I haven't said on the podcast yet, but a lot of people may know. And actually, do you know what picture I take to get my hair cut every time?
Of course.
So Drew's famous black and white profile picture. I'm totally blanking on the photographer. I know it's somebody really famous.
Yeah, it's Herb Ritz.
Herb Ritz. Okay, yes. So I have taken that to get my hair cut probably for the last 20 years, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. And it always results in a great cut. I've gone to professionals, and I've gone to just like Fantastic Sam's. It's always a little different because it's hard to tell what her haircut is like in that picture. But
I know it's actually deceiving. It looks a lot shorter in that image than it actually was.
And actually what I always use as the example for that specific piece, and I know this is going way off topic, but why I use that is because I like my hair short enough in the back that my neck is completely exposed, but long enough that the bangs can tuck behind my ears.
Oh.
So that those are the things that like it's like layered in the back, but kind of long in the front. So bob-ish. But anyways,
I love that.
I've taken that for years, and I feel like I have a similar texture hair to Drew, so it tends to work.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's
clippings
cool.
to the hairdresser. Like I literally have for years I brought the postcard with me, and then after that I just pull it up on Google on my phone.
Yeah. Thanks to both of you. And if you have a comment you want to send our way, feel free to reach out on Instagram or send us an email at howdoyoudrewpod@gmail.com, or you could even leave a nice thing in a review somewhere. Thank you very much. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be really great. We'd love some reviews. And thanks to everyone who's said some really nice things about our podcast. We're feeling lots of encouragement and can't wait for this project to grow.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Okay, so since it has been 2 weeks since we've recorded, and it happened to land right when a bunch of stuff has been going on, we have a lot to cover in What's New with Drew. I've been adding to our notes here pretty much every day. There's something new.
Nice.
And because of this, I'm going to put, if you go to the episode page on howdoyoudrew.com, there's going to be links to a lot of these things that we're going to talk about at the bottom of the page. So you guys can all check out if there's anything that you missed.
Nice.
So Drew went to 2 events recently in the last 2 weeks, which is cool because she doesn't go to a lot of events these days. So she went to see Funny Girl on Broadway, and she also attended the Harper's Bazaar Icons party. And she had like a cool that big pink capey thing that she was wearing. She seems into capes right now.
Yeah, and sometimes it's more successful than others.
Yeah, for sure.
The next thing that popped up that and Ashley's just more super hyper aware of Drew on social media generally, but this one I was aware of, so I'll go ahead and announce this one. Drew did a commercial for Bingo Blitz, which is an app.
It's a mobile game.
Mobile game. And actually, now that I'm reading this, what is an in-app avatar?
So there's a little cartoon version of her in the game.
Cute.
So I've been playing it just to like do my journalistic duties, report back. So they have her set up as like the host of the Drew Bingo More show, which is pretty funny. And like, I don't think the avatar looks that much like her, but she said it does. But I think it kind of looks more like who's that girl that was in Gossip Girl, Leighton Meester? I don't know. It looks more like her to me. It's just like you can click on her and it gives you like a little tip. I'll put some pictures in the show notes.
That's really cute.
But I don't know. At first, I think I had like maybe a more negative reaction to this than you did.
Yes.
Like I was kind of
I was just like, oh, it's cute. It's a cute commercial. And yeah, you definitely had a different reaction. Just kind of like, why? I don't understand.
Yeah. I guess it's just sort of like, it's sort of weird to see her doing a lot of ads for random products lately. Like,
yeah.
She went which is funny because of what our show topic is, but she went so long, like never lending her face or name to anything.
Yeah, and then she did those like shampoo things where she was dressed like the bee a few years ago.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
What's the company that it's for?
Garnier.
Yeah, so Garnier, and then the products was like honey something. Like
yeah, oh yeah.
So that felt kind of funny. So similarly, like feels sort of out of character, but then at the same time, like you have this note here that she used to go on to Tuesday bingo night with friends in her 20s.
Yeah.
Was that something you recalled from memory?
No.
Or
so there's a really short like behind the scenes of the commercial video, and I think she's probably trying to be like, I really wanted to do this. It's not just for money. Maybe I'm being rude. But like do you remember that Crocs video that also is like her walking around a bunch of sets singing? Like this is very similar to that.
Oh,
remember that?
Vaguely, very vaguely.
I mean, it's also funny that she's singing in it because like it's not a thing that she ever.
Yes, and I was actually trying to figure out if she was dubbed, but it does sound like her voice.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like her voice in music and lyrics, actually.
Although music and lyrics, yeah, you're right, it does.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you want to go see a little cartoon Drew giving you tips on bingo, go download Bingo Blitz.
Now we're promoting.
But you know what? I will just like end this by saying the behind the scenes videos, she looked like she was having a blast and she was like very dedicated and into it. So it wasn't just like she was phoning it in.
Great.
But it's just kind of a different era of her career where it's like, I wish she was like doing cool movies instead of weird commercials. But
yeah,
whatever works for her lifestyle.
Yeah, we still love her.
Yeah. Then, I mean, there's not a lot to report on this yet, but Savannah Guthrie from the Today Show, who Drew's friends with, I guess she wrote a children's book called Princesses Wear Pants.
Mhm.
And Flower and Drew are going to produce a series based on that for Netflix. It's gonna be called
Aw,
Princess Power. It's just like a little cartoon kids show. So that
that's
looks cute.
sweet.
Yeah. So it's fun to hear new Flower Films projects coming out.
That's awesome. Okay, and then it looks like she did two different things with Rob Lowe. She was on his podcast called Literally, and then he was on her podcast, Drew's News, which
Wait, Drew has
premiered.
a podcast? What?
Wonder where she got that idea.
Oh my gosh, clearly we inspired her.
Hello! It
That's
premiered on the
timing.
16th of September, and yes, first guest Rob Lowe.
So they were pretty it was really cute to listen to these. She has like a ton of admiration for him. And I don't know if you remember in Little Girl Lost, there's a whole part where she goes to his 20th birthday party at some club. So they
Vaguely.
they talk about that quite a lot. She said like many times it was one of the best nights of her life. And then she talks about they like went another time to another club, which is so crazy because she's like 8 when they're talking about this and he's like in his 20s. But his dad and her mom were there, and they both have a sneaking suspicion that their parents like hooked up that night.
I love that.
Yeah, Drew was like, hey, my mom was fun. She's a good time girl. I could totally see that.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
And kind of like fits in, we were talking about like she wrote a sex book and all of this stuff.
I know,
like,
you're right. Oh my gosh.
I love
But
that.
she got like one moment that was a little more serious, which was really cool, is they talked about divorce because I guess his parents divorced when he was really little, and she's like, how did that affect you? My divorce was the hardest thing, you know. And anyway, he said he was talking about how society these days, like divorce is such a much more like gentle thing, like less judgment, and like parents figure out how to work together better. And she got like, she was like, this is like a huge aha moment for me. Like she like gave herself, I think, some forgiveness and some like grace about it.
Good.
And yeah, so that was really cool. So definitely go listen to both of those. I would suggest listening to them back to back because they pretty much like they almost kind of reference each other because
I'm sure they recorded them back to back.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's very clear that they did.
Yes.
And congrats to Drew on her Drew's News podcast. It's going to be every Friday. It's half an hour. So I was saying like you can listen to her podcast before the weekend, and then after the weekend, come back and listen to ours. And you get all the Drew you could possibly need.
Yep. Yep. I mean, we're basically just discount Drew. I mean...
Discount Drew, but probably more accurate information about her life than she
yes except for when she gives us like new tidbits, and then we're like, ooh,
yeah,
I'm sure we can find some details about this later from an article where it was hinted, and or she said something about this but didn't give, I don't know.
Well, you know what's so funny, in all of these appearances that she's been doing lately, at least twice she mentioned that same piggy bank metaphor that we discussed. She said about Whip It, where she's like taking all the things in her life and throwing the piggy bank on the floor. She's talking about doing that for the new season of the Drew Barrymore show. So it's like, it's kind of cool to hear her, because I don't remember her ever using that metaphor before. So
yeah,
it's kind of fun that she brought it up again.
Well, she listened to our podcast.
That's exactly where I was going. She clearly heard us talking about it and decided to start putting that back in the repertoire.
That's so funny.
Going along with that, the Drew Barrymore show premiered this past week, season 3, which is really cool. And there's not a lot of content from it on YouTube right now, which I'm sort of disappointed by because that's the only way I was watching it.
Yep, same.
I really hope that they're going to add more. But anyway, so the very first episode, she had Justin Long on, her on again, off again boyfriend from the late 2000s. I think all the way through 2010, right? When Going the Distance came out.
I mean, you would know better than I do from the States. But that sounds right.
Yeah, and I've just always loved him. Like if I had to pick any of her exes for her to be together with again, it would be him. I don't know. Would you agree with that?
I feel like I've gotten a better sense of him than any of the others, probably.
Yeah.
And I think he as a public figure seems the most well, maybe also because I've listened to his podcast, Life is Short.
Yeah.
And I always love the way he interacts with other people, how he seems genuinely excited about things in life, has that same kind of positive attitude towards like basically anything that anyone's passionate about. I don't know. So
Yeah, I like
yes,
that.
but it's I feel like my opinion of him has been built up later. Like he
Okay.
as Drew's partner, I could like give it or like leave, take it or leave it.
Okay.
But I mean, not for any specific reason.
Right. You just
But I feel
didn't
like
know.
later I've been like, oh, I like Justin Long. Let me check out his podcast, and I love it. So,
Yeah.
and it's his personality and his kindness and when he was on her show recently, it was like, yep,
Ugh, I
It was like, yep,
know.
this is him, and I love that the tenderness between them.
Oh my God, I totally cried. Like
Oh yeah.
it choked me up big time. It was really sweet. And I thought it was fun that when Drew was talking about, the time of their relationship, she was saying like that it was hedonistic and they were having wild times. And
Yes.
because we've already talked about that on the show.
We were trying to describe it. We were kind of like, yeah, she was a little wild and was acting a little young and then it was like, wow, wait, that's exactly kind of how, not that they were saying that, but
basically though. I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, super fun.
And then Justin's partner, girlfriend, Kate Bosworth, was really sweet and sent Drew flowers and a card after the appearance. So that's pretty classy. I think I was impressed with that.
So sweet. I had a moment watching the clip that I watched where I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know how I would feel.
Yes, same. When he's like, I'll always love you.
Yeah, but then it's like, it's Justin. And so I had this sort of moment where I was like, there's a genuine thing happening here that I had a feeling like if he's going to say that on air, he would have disclosed these feelings to his current partner. Like that there's, I don't know. But then I was also surprised actually regarding that. He said like, oh, I was 20 when we met, or he said something. Is that true?
So I don't know. Let me see how old he is.
Okay. Did you also have that surprised moment where
yes.
I know that he was younger. Fab was also much younger than Drew.
Yeah.
And then Justin.
Okay, I don't think that's right because he's only 3 years younger than Drew. They couldn't have met when she was 23. That can't. Well, I don't know. They did meet through Sam Rockwell, and she had done Charlie's Angels and Confessions of a Dangerous Mind already. So yeah, maybe
he kind of made it sound like she was an older woman, but maybe that was just kind of a silly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe he was like 25 and he's rounding down.
Fab was genuinely like 20 something when Drew was in her 30s, right?
Now I gotta check that.
Sorry.
They have the same birthday, by the way. Justin Long and Fabrizio Moretti have the same birthday.
No.
And
how did you just find that out just now?
I've known that for a long time, but it gets weirder. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
And I hope she doesn't get mad that I'm telling you guys this, but that's also the day she got married to Will. Their birthdays.
What?
Yes, June 2nd. Is that crazy?
That's so funny.
Oh, okay. So Fab is born in 1980. So he's only 2 years older than me. He's 5 years younger than Drew. Not that extreme.
It's not.
Okay.
I think for some reason it felt extreme that
maybe
5 years felt like a lot when it was 2005.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now I've told everybody that she got married on her double ex's birthday. So let's move on.
So Drew guested on a bunch of shows, none of which I've watched because I'm a bad Drew fan.
Oh gosh, stop it. And some of them are really short, so you could definitely go. You could at least watch the Tonight Show.
I mean, I've watched clips.
Okay, see?
So sorry.
Okay.
I won't beat up on myself too much.
Thank you.
So I'll just go ahead and list them, and if you want to say some tidbits. So CBS Morning. So what do you got from that?
So she loves Gayle King, so she was excited to always talk with her.
Yes.
But so she actually mentioned that she's trying out like a new style and being less uptight. So I thought that was cool because we've definitely noticed on all these appearances and on her show that she's definitely looking a little more fun. She's got her hair flipped and she's actually showing like a little of her chest because I have this theory that ever since she had Olive, she wears everything she wears is like up to her neck. Like she never shows anything below her collarbones. It's like
Yes.
super unusual for her to do that. So
Yes,
it's fun that she's finally like, she's actually wearing, they almost look like little cami, like lingerie tops.
I was going to say on the episode or the clip I saw from the Drew Barrymore show with Justin, like she's got that entirely white outfit. Of course, like really high heels, which are kind of her thing, but then like also she was wearing like a cami, like you said, with like lace.
Yeah.
And I had a moment where I was like, oh, it's so like it feels sexy, but in a very like classy, like it was very sexy, classy. Like that's, I don't know. I'm not going to be able to describe it any differently than that. Where I was like, oh, cute.
I think,
but I definitely
perfect.
I took like note of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like without even thinking out loud, but took like mental note, I should say.
Yeah. Well, even the next appearance, which was the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, she's like also got a little cami on, but she's kind of like got a goth look. Like everything is black. She's wearing like huge black boots that are like not her normal kind of style of boots, and she was wearing like black see-through kind of gloves. It was definitely.
I don't think I have not seen the boots, so I'm gonna have to like get a look at this.
I will include a picture of that on the episode page. But yeah, I was like, whoa, she's like trying something different for sure.
Super fun.
I think we've been kind of hoping for that.
Yeah.
But also on Jimmy Fallon, she talked about going to Britney Spears' wedding, and she disclosed the reason that she missed the so at Turner Classic Movies Film Festival, they were doing this huge 40th anniversary showing of E.T., and she was supposed to be there. Like Steven Spielberg and a bunch of other people were there. I think she even went to LA, and then it was like she didn't show up at the event, which was so weird.
Oh.
And I guess right before she was supposed to go, both her daughters tested positive for COVID. So now we know why she didn't go. I know. She was like really sad about it, but she said they're going to kind of reschedule at his screening room because she wanted him to watch it with her daughters in like a movie theater setting,
Oh.
Yeah. And then they played this game. Did you watch the clips of this? Where it was...
No, I didn't. So I'm thinking I haven't actually watched clips, and maybe I just saw like the.
You might have seen like one.
Maybe.
So they did this game called Focus Up, where there was like a pixelated image, and then it would like come into, slowly come into focus. You had to guess what it was, and there were different topics. But on the last one, like instantly when it went up, I was like, it's the Fever Pitch poster. And it got to the point where it was almost crystal clear before either of them recognized it, which I thought was so funny. Like, guys, were you in this movie? Like, obviously they haven't seen the images as much as we have.
That's great. That's really funny. Okay, so then you also listed that she was on CBS News. What's the tidbit you're mentioning here?
Okay, so one of the anchors, I can't remember what his name was. I guess he knows Chris Miller because she's like, Chris. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course. Everyone knows Chris, right? But she told a really brief story that Chris was using a matchmaker at some point, and he kind of like invited Drew to get on board and try it out. So she was like, all right, because I'm doing it with my friend, I'll try it. And she went on
God.
one date, and they were both like, no, this isn't going to be a thing. And that was it.
That's so strange. I am surprised that matchmaker services still exist.
I know. Well, that was kind of the story. They were saying like it's coming back in vogue, like it's becoming popular again. I guess people are burnt out on the apps.
That's really funny. And then she also was on Person to Person with Nora O'Donnell. Not even familiar with the show, if I have to be honest.
Yeah, I wasn't either. But I think Nora has been on and like guested on Drew's News on the show. So they kind of had a familiarity with each other. This is also CBS. She just like made the rounds around CBS. But that one's a bit longer. It's kind of cool. It's sort of like more the long form interviews that we used to see decades ago.
Cool.
But most of it was sort of like repeats of what she already said on the other shows. But I thought this was a really cute little tidbit that she said that anytime she has like any kind of breakthrough or enlightenment or aha moment with her therapist, that she writes down whatever that was on a card, and then she puts them on the walls of this tiny coat closet in her house to try to like keep track of them. So that's not just like, I know, I was like, this is such a great idea. So it's not just like she has this great thing and then forgets about it. Like she can go in that room and closet and then look at all of those things. And
So
then,
that
yeah,
is so cool. I'm just gonna like reply to that. We are both huge advocates for getting help with your mental health
yeah,
and therapy. And I can say with like certainty that I've had aha moments, not written anything down, and then even forgotten by the time I have my next thing. Like, what did we talk about last time? I don't even remember what
yeah.
I was struggling with, and let's kind of start all over. And I'm positive that that has meant I've like talked about the same things over and over again with therapists. So,
Okay.
Drew, that's an amazing idea.
Yeah, I think it's like a really cool thing to try to implement into our
It's a cool
lives.
takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she also like went further with that and said that she keeps a gratitude journal with her at all times, but she includes her daughters. So like if they see something, they're out somewhere, they see someone being kind or whatever, they go, "Oh, let's put that in the gratitude journal." So I thought that was really good. I'm like, "Ooh, that's a good mom tip. I
That's that's really great.
should probably get
I
on
feel
that."
like, I mean, just because I want to make sure you know you're a great mom, and
Oh, thanks.
I think that Mila is pretty good at recognizing positive things in her life. So I think it would be easier for you to implement it at this point.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh,
Yeah.
so nice. And hopefully we get a minute with Mila coming back soon. I got a lot of funny comments about that. She does want to do it. So if we can get her to, she said she wanted to do it, but if we can actually get her on here, throw that in on this episode.
Okay. Cool. Sounds great. So, are we ready for this week's topic?
Yeah,
Dun,
this
dun,
is
dun,
a good
dun.
one. I'm
Drum roll right
excited.
here. I don't think we've even said what it is.
No, we
Have
haven't.
said? Okay, so we kind of tease that it has something to do with commercials, kind of has something to do with ads. Well, we also teased it on our Instagram, so you might already know. We're talking about the ad campaign for Guess.
Yes, from 1993. Basically, Drew's first ever ad campaign. I will put this little like asterisk on that. So there is a photo by Greg Gorman, like I would say probably 1984, maybe 85. And it was supposedly taken for LA Eyeworks, which always has had like famous people in their ads. And they have like recently shown it as an ad, but I have never heard of it existing in the 80s as a thing in a magazine. Like, never
Yeah.
seen it. Don't know if it's a real thing. I don't know if it really existed at that time or not.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. So we'll just call this like her first known major ad campaign.
But also, like, a full campaign is different
Yeah,
than, like, an ad.
totally.
Although, yeah. Yeah, I think it's fair to say. It's also, like, I mean, I also wonder, I know that Guest had other kind of, like, actually, I don't know. Did Guess have other models that weren't models? You know, like
Um,
Drew was not like a typical model. Like,
yeah,
of course
you know
she's
what?
beautiful, but it's like I know they had Anna Nicole Smith, but Anna Nicole Smith was a model, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, she's like a public figure, but she's a model first. Yeah. You know
Yeah.
what? I wonder if Drew kind of is the first guest girl that was not mainly a model. That's a cool thing to think about.
And
And
it kind of became a thing more later, I feel like, for celebrities to show up in ad campaigns.
oh, yeah, for sure.
But I wonder kind of yeah, I'd be curious to kind of do research on like other ad campaigns. Sorry, I'm always like, let's branch off from the topic even more.
No, I
Um,
mean, it comes into play with something in our notes, like how she
yes,
feels like she was a weird
yes,
choice. So our notes are
yes,
kind of all over the place because I kind of just anything I could find, I put in there.
yes. And
So
Ashley again did this incredible research,
thanks.
decided on this topic like probably more than a week ago. And then Ashley has gone through and skimmed tons of articles from both 1993 and 1994, and this is the fruits of her labors.
Oh, thank you. Well, a lot of it is also just like living in my brain. So I'm happy to get it out there to some useful audience. I don't know. Okay, so if you're unaware, there were actually two different shoots that they did two different times. So the first one we're going to refer to as the Salton Sea because I think that's where it was done. Is it a dry lake bed? Is that what it is? It's in
um
California.
I don't know too many details about it, but yes, I think it used to be kind of a tourist spot, and then it became. But I don't think it's fully dry. Okay, you know what?
It's not
I don't
fully
know.
dry, but
You
yeah.
should look up the Salton Sea. I think you're right. Is it? I think which part we'll talk about later, but doesn't the guest book say like Salton Sea something?
Yeah, that's the title of it. So that's kind of like
Okay.
why I want to call that first shoot Salton Sea. It's just
Okay.
easy. And that was done in the beginning of 1993. And then the second one, which for some reason I always like called Tropics in my head, and like all of our ads are called Tropics, but it was done in Miami, which I guess is tropical.
Okay.
And that was done at the end of 1993, or they came out at those times. So two different shoots. They definitely go well together. But you can tell like this is from this one and this is from this one.
There's a different feeling.
Yeah,
for sure.
Different coloring too, I would say.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. I think that's a good way to like, and also Ashley has categorized them in certain ways for years, and so it's really cool to be able to like mentally categorize them that way when you look at them.
Yeah.
And it's made me more aware of like the different shoots for sure.
Oh, cool. I like that. Yeah. And it's just like a nicer way for us to display the ads on our website if they're kind of,
for sure,
go together.
For sure.
All the photos for both shoots were done by Wayne Mazer. And for some reason, it often gets misreported. I wouldn't even say reported, just like on social media or dumb websites, that Ellen Von Unworth did these shoots, which I could see. And, she has worked with Drew like 10 times. So, yeah, but let's just get it right. You know how I feel about lies being out there.
Lies and just people not doing their research and misinformation. I was going to say, trying to kind of think of what Ellen Von Unworth shoots, like why people would think that, and in my mind I actually immediately thought of two shoots with her that are black and white.
Yeah, and I think she did some other guest ones. I think of course, now here I am I'm gonna spread misinformation, but she might have done some of the Anna Nicole Smith. I know there's another model whose name is escaping me, Eva Herzegoza. I think she did her.
You just pulled that right out.
Ads. I don't know. This is how my brain works.
Either way, Wayne Mazer was the photographer for all of Drew's campaign.
Yeah.
So great job pulling that.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to get that right. And then she had the male model. He's in all of the Salton Sea images, and then I think just in I think there's some other male models in the Miami ones, but he's also in those. So his name is Werner Schreier. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
That sounds right.
So literally like 5 minutes before we started recording, I was just flipping for more last minute pieces of information, and I totally forgot. This was totally new information in my brain, even though I have obviously read it. She said she had met him when she was 13, which is sort of weird.
I did not recall that in any way.
And that she told him when she met him that he was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen in her life.
My God.
I know.
But also, like, what's a trip is that how old was she when she then did the shoots for Guess? Because it would have been when she was
18.
And 17, 18? Oh, no, I guess she was 18 because,
And I guess she hadn't seen him for 3 years because he was modeling in Paris. So I guess they were maybe friendly. I don't know. But she requested him for both. And he is very handsome.
He is very handsome. Okay, so the makeup for the guest ads had two different makeup artists for the Salton Sea, as we're calling it. The makeup was done by Joanne Gare, who has done lots of shoots for Madonna. It looks like you have
she was like, I think Madonna's like #1 makeup artist for the 90s. So if you go to her Instagram, I didn't include it, but I think it's just Joanne Gare. She's got like really cool Madonna stuff. But she also did this one with Drew, which is fun.
That's rad. And then the makeup for the Miami shoot was all done by Ariella. Guess she just goes by a first name. So kind of why isn't she Madonna's? And all the makeup was MAC makeup. So if you want to go ahead and give those details, looks like you made lots of notes.
I feel like there's people who really nerd out about makeup, and that's fun. And it's such beautiful such a beautiful look. So the eyeshadow is in a shade called Bark. I think that's been discontinued, but who knows. She used a highlighter called Lola to the eyes, but no mascara to make them softer.
So interesting.
I know. I'm like, really? I gotta go back and
feel
check
like,
that.
but I feel like, so I'm not a huge makeup person, but mascara is one thing that I feel like really does something for me.
Yeah.
It's like my number one. If I had to pick one piece of makeup, it would be mascara.
You know what? I am looking at some of these ads. Some of them she definitely has mascara, but there are a couple where, yeah, maybe she doesn't.
Interesting.
Okay. And then she just used a little bit of blush so her freckles still come through, which
Love that.
love it. Yeah. And then 2 bloody dark shades of lipstick, which were called Rubine and Paramount. And
Nice.
Ariella said it's more like the 30s or 40s, a little dramatic, but not a hard look.
So these these details, I assume, must have been pulled from that Entertainment Weekly article.
Yes, correct. So
I think it's worth pointing out that there was this really cool, like 2-page feature that was done in Entertainment Weekly about the behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I mean the photos are amazing. The article, look, like reading it and with the current and society and my age and stuff, it's sort of weird the way they talk about Drew, the way this author of the article talks about Drew. It's very exploitative. I don't know, it's just weird. I'm like, she's 18, like what? It was just strange, but the details are really cool and the photos are amazing. We'll share a couple of them. So
yeah, interestingly, I didn't remember the details of the article. I just remember the pictures.
Yeah, the pictures,
and that it was really unique to see the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then when they're talking about the makeup, I'm actually picturing the close-up makeup one, which was that in that, or was that something later?
There's one that's in the article, and then there's another one that I have from some random unknown magazine.
Okay, but also from behind the scenes on Gets,
correct,
right?
Yeah, and they're just beautiful.
So cool. And I assume we'll probably share those on the episode page.
Correct.
And then her hairstylist was Orlando Pita, and he said he spent 45 minutes with the curling iron to make Drew's tresses look disheveled, like not much was done. I always think this is such a funny thing, but I also understand that there's an art to making it look like you just woke up.
Yeah.
So it's also, I mean, her hair looks great.
And cool, I totally forgot about this until I actually read it on our own site on the Drew Details page, that Orlando Pita also did her hair on some of the CoverGirl shoots. So that's pretty neat.
That seems so random.
I know, he's like the ad campaign guy, I guess.
Like how many years later?
Yeah, he's really famous. Like he's a big deal. Cool. So that's cool.
That's rad.
And just talking a little bit more about the look. So Drew's quoted as saying that it was like dirty white trash mixed with the glamour, a really good combination.
So 90s too.
Yeah.
Like these
so
ads
90s.
are so 90s in the best way. Like this is not me like that was old. Like Mila.
Like Mila would say, yeah. No, they're classic.
Totally classic.
And Drew pictured that the girl herself, the girl in the ads would be a waif, petite with blonde curls everywhere.
Yeah. And then I love this. I can imagine her like doing this and thinking this, that she had to kind of convince herself to breathe free as possible because she was really worried that she wasn't right for it.
Yeah.
And so she kind of was like, I'm doing this character, even though it like, and actually when you look at them, like you kind of are like, I don't know, thinking with that in mind, it doesn't seem like Drew.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Like it definitely is a character.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. Because I can almost like, if you look at the images and have that in your mind, like,
yeah, it makes sense. I don't know.
It's really cool.
Yeah. And then apparently I was just reading this. She said she had worked out with the trainer for 3 months prior to the shoot and that she was so buff and damn proud.
In that, when I read that little tidbit, I was thinking how unlike Drew in 93 that felt like.
Oh, totally.
But not because she wasn't in shape, not because she wasn't thin. It's not those things. It's that I just would have assumed that that was her natural body.
Right.
And because she was always just like tiny and petite. But I love the idea that she like was strong and proud. Like that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
But her using the word like buff like feels unlike her.
It feels
in a weird way.
It feels unlike her, especially at this time. Like I could see maybe after doing Whip It, she would feel that way. But like,
yeah, or like Charlie's Angels.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But this definitely wasn't a time of her, and she did say like she stopped working out immediately after this. But
and also just kind of thinking like too, a couple years later, like always talking about, and this is okay. She would always talk about like mac and cheese is her favorite food, and just like being able to like just gorge on that. And this doesn't mean that someone can't eat really amazing rich food and be healthy. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like I imagined her as the girl who could eat anything and stay thin.
Yeah, especially at this time.
Yeah, exactly.
The last little tidbit I just want to throw in here on the look is that, and you could only see it, I think, in one ad, but in one of the Miami photos, she's got a fake butterfly tattoo under her belly button where her real one would then be like a year later. So
funny.
I know it's kind of like the Breathe tattoo, how she like had it written on her arm to like try it out before she really got it.
And I'm just curious, like, was that the makeup artist that was like, let's put a little fake tattoo on you?
Oh,
like,
yeah. I didn't even cross my mind that it would have been hers.
A funny thought. Also, I just kind of, in my mind, I'm wondering, I didn't realize, do we know when she got the butterfly? Exactly.
Yes. We know it was the end of 94.
Okay. Because we know she at least had it by the time she did Playboy. So you think it was super fresh by Playboy?
That's probably where I got that. Yep, that's probably how I worked that out.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Super cool. So Paul Marciano, who is the president of Guess and director of advertising for this ad campaign, was looking for a Guess girl with more of a 90s grunge wave look.
I kind of like grungies.
Grungies, a grungies look.
It makes sense. It totally suits this ad campaign.
All right.
He said that he chose Drew at the urging of the photographer, Wayne Mazer, and also the shoot stylist, Lori Goldstein. And he's quoted as saying that he was totally seduced by her. Drew, not the stylist. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I am definitely seduced by both Lori Goldstein and Drew Barrymore. Just kidding. I don't have any idea who Lori Goldstein is.
Well, but she's a stylist on the shoot and she made it look really good. So
yeah, I mean, I wasn't, it wasn't any indication of how cool she was, whether I knew who she was, but Drew, we are definitely seduced by Drew all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
I love this next tidbit. I mean, something about it feels really cool to kind of put into perspective her life. I don't know. There's something about it. So she has accounted that she was living with Justine, who we mentioned previously. Justine Badley has done casting on some of Drew's films. She was living with Justine in a hellhole apartment, as she called it, found a house that they loved, but lots of people wanted. And she was wondering, or they were wondering, where would they get the money to get this house? And then she got a call the next morning from her publicist that the amount that she would make was exactly what they needed to pay rent. so insane.
Meant to be.
So insane.
It's also funny to think like she was at a time in her career where, she probably wasn't making that much money.
Mm-hmm.
And if this house was in LA, well, it was in LA. We know that. Even back then, I'm sure it wasn't cheap.
Yep. It's trippy.
It's cool. Another thing she said about that call when the publicist called and said that Paul Marciano wanted her, she freaked out. She said the other models are like 6 foot tall, drop dead beautiful. People are going to look at my ass and go, why did they do this? Which is so silly. But that like kind of explains why she needed to like psych herself up and, pretend that she was going to be a character in this. She also said that she had rejected previous offers from Pepe Jeans, Gap, and Capezio.
And I don't know Pepe Jeans or Capezio.
Capezio is a dance brand, so that's like very random.
That's super weird. I could kind of imagine her in Gap ads.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I'm glad she didn't do them because I feel like this is so special that she wouldn't have had the opportunity to do this. I don't know. She said in multiple sources that she had an allergic reaction and had broken out into hives before meeting the creative team for the guest shoot. And she says she looked scary and was really concerned about it.
Luckily, they were able to see beyond that and know she was a good match.
So great. So great.
Okay, so should we get into like the look of the ads?
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So we have, like we said before, these two different settings, two different shoots. The Salton Sea setting, I kind of see it as like it's kind of dusty. There's like a trailer that it sort of feels like this character's living in. So there's like a Ferris wheel in the background of one of them, and then they're also on a like carousel in parts of them. So I'm curious, like if those items were already there, if they brought them in. So Drew's look is like she's got a lot of chokers, lots of bras and super short shorts, lots of leopard print. My personal favorite of the regular ads is from this set, and she's like standing in the doorway to the trailer. There's streamers like in the doorway. She's wearing a leopard print strapless dress and a black jean jacket. And I don't know why it's my favorite. I just love it. It's just she's just so gorgeous.
Do you want to kind of mention that I feel like a lot of the Salton Sea are black and white also, right?
Yeah, black and white, and then like blue tones as well.
Yes. And actually I feel like overall bluish green and black and white. And I'll go ahead and describe the Miami setting. Includes the ocean, there's a lot of grass, there are tropical plants, there's a swing, and then the look includes like some bras and white shorts or jean shorts.
Yeah, lots of shorts and bras in all of these.
Yeah, definitely. And then my favorites, I couldn't pick one. There's a real close-up piece in black and white of kind of going in for a kiss, her and the male model. More like actually kissing.
Yeah, I guess they are.
That one, I can tell for sure why I liked it. So there's a couple of things. First of all, I think the copy I had is oversized. I feel like
it's Rolling Stone.
Yeah. Do you remember what issue? I feel like it's not her. Is it the issue with her? I don't think it is. For some reason, I feel like Beavis and Butthead are on the cover.
I was going to say David Letterman or something. I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, that sounds right. Either way, it's from a Rolling Stone. So the format of Rolling Stone was like, I'm going to guess like 10 by 12. So instead of like standard 8.5 by 11, but it's oversized. It's very close up. So you see like Drew's freckles.
Yeah, the freckles are so cute.
It's so crisp. It's just gorgeous. And then the other one, which also happens to be oversized, I think was from W magazine, at least the one I remember getting.
I was going to say W, yep.
And I think it might be like 11 by 15 or something. Like it's pretty tall, at least 14. And the coloring on it is actually different than any other. It's closer to a natural color tone.
Yeah, you're right. Almost
but
like pastel,
desaturated.
Sort of.
Yeah, it's like slightly desaturated. The male model is standing behind her with his arm kind of like draped over her shoulders. I think it's the oversized, the detail, the coloring, her expression. These are two that when I think of the guest ads, they feel different than the others. And that's not why I like them. I think it's the scale and also
that would make sense.
The details. I don't know. It's something a little different. Although I realized I said that it was one of the only ones that felt like I had natural coloring. And there are a couple other ones with some natural coloring, but you should definitely check out the guest page on our website on the Drewseum.
Yeah, we'll have
for
a link
sure.
To that. Wait, that's not your favorite because the model is wearing like tight little tiny underwear. That's not why it's your favorite.
Actually, I was going to say that that's probably my least favorite part of it. I'm not. The guy is perfectly fine. But he's not. I'm not like a.
You're not here for his package.
I'm not here for the hunk. I'm here for the beautiful woman. So. Yeah, so
I love that
kind of, yeah, and I think, I mean, all of these ads are just to die for.
Yeah, so we'll kind of, like, this was a really big campaign. Like, I started making a list of all the magazines that I know of that they appeared in, and it was huge. We have like we mentioned, Rolling Stone and W,
Yep.
Entertainment Weekly, GQ, Harper's Bazaar, Mademoiselle, Glamour, Allure, Elle, Vogue. It's like every magazine at that time.
Yep.
Vogue, especially. So there's a June 1993 issue that has, coincidentally, Drew's first photo shoot with Ellen Von Unworth. An amazing many-page feature on her, but that issue also has a bunch of guest ads. So everywhere.
That magazine, like that issue of Vogue from June 93 is like beautiful.
I know it's crazy that she's not on the cover because there's so much of her inside.
It's such a large issue.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have to pinpoint people to that part of our site to check it out, because it's I feel like when I got that in my collection, which I think was relatively early on, like it wasn't that hard to get since it's a Vogue, you know, it's a big magazine, but I feel like when I got it, it was like, I don't know, it felt like a big, it felt like a big deal.
Yeah.
Not as much as some other things that we could go through at some other point, but it's like rad. And I didn't realize it was Ellen Von Unworth's first with her. I love that so much.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Yes.
And so I had a funny memory. So same era as the time I talked about my having a friend with an older sister who had the Mad Love soundtrack. This is a different friend who also had an intimidating older sister. But I remember her sister's room had the guest ads on the wall. And like,
cool.
Again, I was like in 6th grade. Like I didn't have a huge awareness of who Drew was. It's weird that these things like locked into my memory so well. Like I remember knowing that her sister like collected the ads.
That's so funny. I also have like not a memory from that time, but from later regarding the guest ads. So my high school boyfriend, George, who I think I've mentioned before because he was involved in me like kind of falling in love with Drew. But his sister, there were 2 things about her that I remember. One of which was that she had one of the guest ads on her bedroom door, and it was still there when I started dating George in 99.
Wow. Okay.
And then she also has a butterfly tattoo because she saw Drew's and liked it.
Wow. So she was an older sister?
Yeah, it's George's older sister, like 3 or so years older,
I think
believe.
being like a teen girl at the time that this came out, like it had a big impact.
Yeah. Totally. And actually now I'm wondering, is the butterfly inspired by the Guess version of her tattoo?
That's funny.
Or the like actual Playboy,
hilarious.
Revealed. Yeah, I'd actually love to hear stories of like Drewbies, or maybe you weren't a Drewbie yet, seeing these guest ads like when they came out.
That would be cool. I would love to hear that too, because we were just a little too young to be in on that.
Oh, one more thing about a friend.
Okay.
So my friend Monica, who for a while collected Drew stuff, she had guest ads before I did. And I remember
that.
Do you? Yeah. So I actually feel like she was like trading with some people, like trading clippings. And she's still a good friend of mine. Hi, Monica. I don't think you're listening, but hi. But she had some before I did, and I remember going over to her house, and she might have had them on her wall because that's just what we did. And I was like, oh, where'd you get those? Like just kind of like, I think the first time I saw them in person definitely was Monica's house.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Like we said, they were everywhere. There was big subway posters. Do you remember Brian? So Brian is another one of our friends from the Grapevine who
Hi, Brian.
we also have hung out IRL many times. We love Brian. Didn't he have some of those subway posters?
That sounds right, and we might need to hit him up.
Yeah. I kind of remember him getting them on eBay. And he was probably like 15. He's younger than us.
Yeah, he's a few years younger than us, and I think he had the guest book before we do, which we've mentioned a couple times, so we'll get into it.
The first time I ever saw photos from it where he took those photos.
I think he and Venus, a lot of people had the guest book before I think we ever got our hands on copies, right?
For sure.
I mean, I definitely wasn't willing. Well, we'll get into it a little bit more. Okay. But I wasn't willing to spend what others were willing to spend on it.
Yeah. So yeah, billboards, posters everywhere. Drew said, if I see myself one more time, I'm going to vomit.
Oh God, I get a picture saying that. Yeah, and then you noted that her friends like Steven Spielberg and others were calling her. And it scared her that people would get sick of seeing her, which like, I guess I could imagine that, like if your face is everywhere.
especially like, I don't know. These are just so gorgeous. It's like hard to imagine
Yeah.
anybody being like, oh, there's that guest girl
But
again.
it would be hard not to internalize that and be
Yeah.
like, oh, like if
Especially
anyone
if you're
feels even,
Drew, who's
yeah,
like hard on yourself anyway.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of mentioned what we call the guest book. So, in case you don't know, there was a catalog printed in June 1993 by Guess, and it's called Salt and Sea. That's what they like title it. And it's 32 or 33 pages, all of Drew from the first shoot. And it is
so amazing.
I mean, it's basically like one of the holy grails of Drew collecting.
Yep.
I know I got mine from Anita. Hi, Anita, another grapevine friend.
Yep.
And you don't remember where you got yours.
I don't remember where I got mine, which I know is a shame. I do know that I spent much less than many other fans spent on it. And I think it would have been someone who got it and then like another fan that I purchased it from.
That makes sense.
But I don't recall, like, I wanted to say that it was maybe Rob Brink, who we've mentioned before, but I think he was pretty insistent that he wanted to make back some of what he'd spent on it.
He might have even not wanted to part with his, now that
maybe
I'm sort of remembering that.
So it was either that it's possible I purchased it from him later. Either way, it's freaking cool. Once again, look at our guest page. Yeah. Check it out.
We have every photo up there.
I don't think we say what the scale is, but
oh yeah,
like,
it's
again,
large.
it's like 12 by 16 or bigger. Like it's so cool.
It's a must-have.
It's rad. I'm curious. I think at some point we've talked about this, like how, in what numbers was that catalog printed?
Yeah.
And who was it distributed to? You know,
what's the origin? Like, what is the story?
And also just like breaks our heart to imagine. I think we've talked about this before. Maybe I'm just, this is in my own mind, but like how many of those just got discarded? But you know, it's a promotional thing. Just imagine how many things you get, like just as a person getting junk mail. It's ephemera. This Salt and Sea catalog is ephemeral.
It's the best, though.
You know?
It's like the best example of that.
It's so cool. And then there was another sort of catalog. It's called the Guest Journal, that was printed in January 1994, which has 6 pages from the Miami shoot. Are all the pictures in Salt and Sea from the Salt and Sea shoot?
Yes.
Okay. And I also don't recall in the Guest Journal, is it just Drew?
No, so it's like lots of other stuff, but there is the 6 pages, and I think most of the pictures in it were common ads, but there is the one where I don't know if it's like palm leaves or blinds, but they're in front of her face. Yeah, that one. I love that one.
It's so cool. Although I think that was printed as an ad also.
I don't think so. Well,
we have it listed on our site as an ad, but
it's like it's a weird
Thai?
Yeah, it's like from Thailand.
Okay.
So we can kind of get into that. There are rare ads out there. So there's like the ones that were printed in all those magazines that we already listed. Those you pretty much can get any of those. They're not hard to come across. But later on over the years, we've come across some other rare stuff. So there is an eyewear ad. I don't think it was ever printed in a magazine. If it was, we don't have the knowledge of that. And boy, would we love to get that.
Oh my gosh.
But she is wearing sunglasses, and the first time we ever saw it, Missy, who we've talked about a lot, she had a poster of it. Do you remember that?
I did not remember that.
Yeah, I actually found that like going through my files recently. I was like, oh, that's right. That's where we first saw that picture.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So I got lucky enough, and I can't even remember how I found this person. I came across somebody, it was not on eBay, who was selling a couple Drew things, and they had a little cardboard standee of the eyewear ad. Must have been from like a sunglass shop, and I freaked out, like, oh my God, like this person doesn't know what they have here. That's definitely my top 10 of all of my Drew collection. I love it so much.
So cool. And once again, we'll come back to my friend Monica, because I recall her saying that she saw that standee at a
flea market
in Fontana, which is where I grew up, and I just suddenly got like a pang in my chest, like, why did I not go there and look for it? either way, she saw this in like, early 2000s. Which crazy to think at that time it would have only been like 6 years old
I know,
or something.
right?
Like in my mind, I think I assumed like, oh, it must be faded and crappy. But like, I feel like when she told me that, maybe I didn't know what she was talking about. Like
Probably
I was like,
not.
no,
You're
I don't know.
like,
Either
what do you
way,
mean? There wasn't a
like,
sunglass ad.
yeah. So these were around. Like sunglasses vendors who carried guests probably got that.
Ugh, so
Ugh.
cool.
Yeah, crazy. And it's rad. Like,
it's beautiful. Then there were some other rare ads that popped up in countries like Thailand. So we'll put some of these rare ones on the episode page, but always go to our main guest page on the Drewsium, and I'll have a link to that. Paris Vogue also did a feature in 1993 that has 3 awesome outtakes. They didn't use any of the common ones. And then tell me if you remember this. Guess.com in 1999 did like a whole kind of revival of the ads. It probably wasn't just Drew's shoe. This is when they were selling the posters on their website.
Okay. And there were some rare ads on there?
They showed a lot of rare images on the website. And I was a freshman in college, and I remember being in my dorm, and like somebody had probably posted this on the grapevine, and it was like a really big deal. And I ordered the poster and had it over my bed in my dorm.
Okay, so the posters, I don't have any of the posters, and I think so. I must have missed this opportunity somehow.
Okay.
Actually, I think Monica had one.
Probably. It was
So
like pretty cool, and it was so easy to get them. I know.
Monica.
And then there's been a few other outtakes that have shown up, like maybe through photo agencies that we've seen on fan sites. So we'll share a bunch of those because they're all just any picture from either one of these shoots is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. There have been some other kind of assorted things that have come out. So guests will sometimes just use one of Drew's ads on like things in the store. So actually, my friend Monica worked for Guess for a lot of years.
Man, you better tell her to listen to this episode. She's getting a lot of
airplay. So Ashley mentioned the posters that were on the Guess site in 99. There's a little Rubik's Cube, which I don't know which one of us has that.
I think we might both.
Maybe. And I don't remember like what that is. It's just some promotional thing.
Yeah.
And then there were gift cards, which I think I got one from Monica. She just gave me like an empty gift card that has
fun.
On the envelope of the gift card. And then there was a jewelry tin in the 2000s that also had her face, I think, as one of the faces, right? It's like a little like square.
I think they kind of would just like occasionally do like a bunch of guest girls from the 90s on things.
Yep.
And Drew would be included.
And I feel like they would usually use the same ad. Is that a wrong or correct assessment?
No, I think you're right. It was like one of the leopard print kind of looking ones.
Yeah, the same or a couple of the same ones.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm looking right now. That's funny.
Yeah, so they definitely had like one that they always used.
Yeah. And then like it's like the campaign that just won't die, which thank God. But in February 2021, there's, I guess, like an offshoot of Guess called Guess Originals. And they collaborated with another brand called Pleasures and did a massive line inspired by Drew's ad campaign.
Yeah, they were really cool. Some of them are a little too like high fashion.
Yeah, or like
for sure
hipster teens of today.
Yes, like some of the things in the line were just like t-shirts with the ad on them, and then there were a bunch of things. I mean, as you can imagine, we're talking about Drew, so had Drew's face. And they actually used some outtakes in their promoting for this line.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know if you remember one of the Marcianos, it's not Paul, I can't remember who it is, but he posted on Instagram a post with 4 different images, and each one was proofs, like pictures of the proofs from the shoot. Oh my God. And like you have to zoom in to really see them. But some of those outtakes were like, oh, holy shit, are you kidding me? Like, we're seeing these. This is amazing. Like, just that alone, if I don't care about all this like merch that they released, those alone, like to get to see those was so cool.
I'm just gonna put this energy out there
for more to come.
We want We want all of the proofs of every shoot Drew's ever done in our Drewseum. Come on.
All right.
If we could get the I
Oh,
mean,
that's
I'm
like a
putting that
dream.
energy out there in the world right now. I'm
I like
looking up
that.
at the sky. I literally have my hand pointing at the ceiling right now.
Okay, I'll
like,
do it too.
Okay.
Ah, bring us the proofs.
Bring us the proofs. Like, do we have any proofs?
I have some negatives, but no, not like a proof sheet. That would be a dream.
Killer.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we'll share some of those. Whew. This was like kind of a big deal. At least in LA, there were billboards and posters. It was sort of like it was happening all over again.
Revival of that. Yeah, it was cool. So we also, like, Ashley and I both got a couple of pieces.
No, I never got anything. I never did. I totally like slept on that. I know.
Assumed that you did.
Yeah, I had it in my shopping cart and like never pulled the trigger. I don't know why.
Oh my God. So I ended up with a hoodie that's got one of the Salt and Sea images from like the merry-go-round part, and then this massive tote bag. It's so big. It's like 2 feet by 2 feet. Like, I'm probably exaggerating, but I've used it a bunch because it's actually really cool. And then it repeats like one of the images over and over again. So we'll have to include a picture of me. I think I took a picture of me like wearing the sweater and holding the bag at some point, and I'm sure I sent it to you.
Well, you'll have to send it.
Yeah, so I got 2 pieces, but there were tons. Like, there was a jacket that had this like one of the really close like images that was used a lot, and that has really close picture of her face with like bright red lips. There was a jean jacket with the like on the back of it, like the entire back. There was a pair of jeans that had like her face all over it.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like
a hat that had one like a really cool.
Gosh, you remember more than I do.
Because I kept looking at it.
Okay. So that pretty much wraps up everything we have to share about the guest campaign. It's kind of cool to know that this was the first of what would end up being quite a few other really awesome modeling campaigns that she did.
Yep.
Of course, the next being Mew Mew, which also has like a really deep love in the Drewbie fan world.
Oh yeah, and there's some like super rarities. Like, I definitely don't have all of the same ones that you have. Like,
I'm still missing one. Ugh.
You're only missing one?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm missing a couple, if I'm remembering correctly.
I kind of doubt it, but
no, you definitely have one that I don't have.
Wow,
for sure. Either way, those ones like were incredibly hard to get. We can maybe do an episode on that. But I feel like they were harder to get than any of the guest ones. Well, I shouldn't say any, but like I feel like Mew
they were less mainstream.
And then what we've got, CoverGirl.
Yeah, CoverGirl was the huge one. There was Brief Lancome makeup. Missoni.
I almost forgot.
Remember Missoni? Oh, those ones are really cool too.
Missoni is cool.
And then that Brief Gucci jewelry where she's like laying on the ground. Yeah.
Almost forgot about that.
Neiman Marcus. Remember those ads?
Oh God, those are also stunning.
So cool.
Well, going back to Neiman Marcus for a second, like, you could go and get a catalog.
Yeah.
For that.
It's kind of like we knew by that point, like, wait, the guest book.
Yeah.
We got to get ahead of this and get the Neiman Marcus one.
I wonder who kind of like broke the news that you could go get a catalog. But when that catalog came out, I went to a Neiman Marcus store somewhere in LA, like fancy area of LA, and I felt so out of place.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, it was like really high end.
I must have gotten mine on eBay or something because I don't remember getting it in person. I don't know. Maybe I did. Okay. Who knows? But
yeah, I like went to found out somehow where to go in the store to get one. Yeah. Because I feel like I went to like the back where you would do a return and like talk to a customer service person back there. Yeah, it was a trip, but like it's really cool.
Worth it.
And like, it's not like people in 93 would have had someone to talk to if they were Drewbie at the time to be like, go to the store, get a like catalog. God, I don't think that's how you would have gotten
so true.
Because the Salt and Sea catalog is like massive. Like, I can't even imagine it coming through the mail. Anyways, going off on a tangent as usual. That's usual.
What we're here for.
Great.
All right, guys. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you for tuning in. here I go with my little spiel, but we'd really appreciate if you could rate, review, and subscribe. I have noticed we've gotten a couple more ratings on Apple Podcasts, which is really cool. If you have something nice to say, leave it as a review. That'd be cool. Or send it to us and we'll feature you in our You've Got Mail segment. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at How Do You Drew Pod. And I'm going to put in here again real quick. If you don't know, every episode has a page on our website where you can see all the photos that we've been mentioning. This one's going to have a bunch of links to all of Drew's appearances that she's done recently, so you can watch those. So go check that out, howdoyoudrew.com.
Yeah. And thank you again for putting those pages together. Actually,
yeah, I'm like, go look at him because I do all the work, so don't let him just sit there.
It's also like, honestly, it's almost like a reference for us as much as it is for you all. But like, please go check it out.
Go enjoy them.
And then send us listener mail to howdoyoudrewpod@gmail.com. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yay! Bye, everybody.
Yay. Bye, everyone. How Do You Drew podcast is brought to you by Ashley and Ann from thedrewseum.com. Our theme song is by our dear friend Matt Costa. Thank you for listening and see you next time.